Welcome to the Venting with Vent podcast. Venting with Vent podcast.
I got a lot of things on my mind, a whole lot to say, and people to hold accountable. So keep your eyes and your ears open because somebody's about to get that work.
Where content creation and the gaming industry is met with unfiltered, unbridled opinions that only one man can deliver.
I don't want to do that. Take my ball. I don't play with you guys. That's PlayStation. I don't want to play with you guys. We're the all-time best system.
Whether it's life's little annoyances or the big issues that keep you up at night, we're diving in head first.
Go to work and you do your job, and your employer says, "Payday's Friday." Have that check belong to us. Hey, wait a minute. I did the work. You gonna take half too? Well, yeah. Well, why? You need it? Oh, we're owned by a larger company. Why are you taking it?
With your host, a prolific live streamer, dynamic YouTuber, a comedic truth bringer, and all-around wise soul, Venturous.
Guys, you're going to have a wonderful time here. You're going to sit back, grab your advice, and we're just going to vent, and keep venting. That's what I do. That's all I know. It's in my name. I invented the venting.
Now, let's start the show.
Welcome back to the VWV podcast. I'm your host, Venturous, and this is episode 11. Xbox sucks. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. Xbox absolutely, positively does suck. And I hate to say it, it's not something I really wanted to say because I don't really hate Xbox, but as of lately, it's just been sucktastic, sucky. Just absolutely no bueno, no good, man. It's not a good device. Its ecosystem, its whole thing is just not great, man. And before I get into it, I don't want to just completely tear it down because, I think a lot of us still actually liked Xbox and they was doing some things to kind of make themselves come back into the folds of being, one of the leaders in the console market, as far as being able to innovate and do things with their console and really with their service that, really competes with a lot of other, console makers and platforms. But lately they've just been doing really, really freaking bad, man. I mean, some of the decisions that they've done just has my mind, if I can just show you a visual of exploding mind, like you see with like the mushroom cloud explosions that comes out of someone's head, that's really what I feel is happening in my mind with Xbox. But I can't just go in and say that, right? You're kind of like saying, Venturous, you're going off the rails here, okay? You're saying it sucks, but what do you mean by it sucks? Well, I want to get into that. But before we do, we have to give it its credit. We got to give it credit where it's due. Xbox is just one of those things that where even in its decline, at one point in time, it was never really that. So let's go back over to the glory days and just talk about really what the Xbox really meant to gamers, how good it was, and just all around, why it would have this extreme height to be able to have this very steep decline in the market today. So let's think about it. Xbox came out. I was alive. But for me personally, I have been, before I got into PC gaming, a diehard PlayStation fan, a Sony fan. Sony fanboy here, I'll admit it. I love Sony, and I love Sony to death. I've owned every Sony console up to the PlayStation 5, which I don't have that, but I've owned every single one of the consoles. And I've always been that way. I was always like, boo, Xbox, boo. But when it actually released, it definitely gave a kind of like a mysterious kind of thing because everything seemed very, similar. Nintendo was doing its own thing, it always innovated a little bit. I came from the Dreamcast, which the Dreamcast had the actual, the round CDs and stuff like that going on with the PlayStation as well. And then Xbox comes and does this thing. But the thing about Xbox, it felt more like a adult gamer type of console, I mean? It had some of these titles that if you wasn't such a Sony fanboy, you'd be like, this is kind of kick-ass. I mean, think about it. Gears of War. Oh my God. I started playing Gears back in my early 30s and I realized how good it really was. And I wanted to kick my own self in the ass for not playing that game back when I was definitely younger, back in the day when it started releasing. I realized how good Gears was. It's so good at a game. The Halo series, Oh God, I could probably get stories from people left and right about their time playing Halo, Halo 3, Halo Reach, ODST, and all these different Halo games and the online multiplayers with their friends. It's just stuff that you really couldn't compare to with PlayStation. I mean, at the time, I was a Killzone fan. I played Killzone to death because that's what Sony and PlayStation had. That was their answer. And I still love Killzone, and I still think it's the best first-person shooter of all time, but I digress, right? Those titles for Xbox were really good. Even like Dead or Alive at one time, I think was more exclusive to Xbox and not the PlayStation until later on. It just has some of those really good first-party titles that made you just be like, dang, you know what? This console is the shit. You know, if I was just more mature and grown a little bit, I would be able to have that hype that a lot of people had. And it didn't stop there, man. It just kept going and going and going. And then, of course, you know, you have the Xbox 360 with the backwards, a little bit of backwards compatibility. So, you know, you have Xbox titles that could go into the 360, and, you know, people were happy and hype about that. And while, you know, PlayStation 2, it didn't quite follow in footsteps, but that's for another podcast episode. But yeah, all those great things that were happening with Xbox were just gave it such a strong feeling, man, of like, this is the place to actually play your games, man. Their first party titles were really good. And they're really good in a lot of good genres, man. And I don't know how they got the developers to make some of those games exclusive, but they were just super dope, man. And every time you see an Xbox player, they were so proud to be an Xbox player. That, you know, you would seriously get damn near fist fights for someone to would say something about Xbox, right? And it just grew into this very wonderful type of community, man, of people just loving the games and the consoles that the Xbox had. Even their controller. Till this day, some people swear by their Xbox controller, especially Xbox 360 and Xbox, you know, just series of controllers being some of the best controllers out there. Now, you know, there's some of the controllers that have gotten better, but everyone swears by that Xbox controller, man. Everyone knows that feeling of the Xbox controller in their hands. So it's just those things that just made Xbox so great for a lot of people. You know, and a lot of people just really enjoyed it. And even got to the point where now it came out with the Xbox One series that started to come out. You know what I mean? Everyone was happy about that. And, you know, there was a big launch coming on for that particular console. And it was riding high. Xbox is riding high. I mean, really, it was one of the first times you've seen PlayStation really after, like, the PlayStation 2 that just made PlayStation like question, do I really want to continue on the PlayStation bandwagon? And you're like, I don't know. It really gave you kind of an idea like maybe Xbox is the way to go. But shortly after that, just before the Xbox One launched, I felt like that's when the slow decline came, and then it just came into a extremely steep avalanche worth of decline. And that's where I want to get into today. This is the part where I want to say that Xbox has really dropped the ball and it has entered sucky category, you know? And let's get into that. Let's talk about it. I want to play a statement and just kind of get your ideas and your thoughts about it and see if you think I'm right. Guys ready to get into it? Let's go. All right, guys. Why the fuck does Xbox suck today, man? Well, I think we need to start from back when, around the time the Xbox One was getting ready to launch. You remember they had a lot of those things going on there. We could talk about a lot of different stuff. You remember the one issue? The one issue that sticks out to me right away was the Xbox Connect. You know, the one where they had the little camera out there. They couldn't recognize, air quotes, dark shadow people. You remember where that happened? That was one of the minor things that was there. But then they start entering into the realm of the always online connectivity, which threw people for a loop, and the shared game issue. I mean, it was like one punch after another, and it just slowly started to it caused that decline in Xbox to where you're like, oh, what the fuck? Do we really want to play this thing? What's happening here? So I want to play an actual quote from one of the Xbox execs, Don Matrick, who made a statement back in 2013 about the always online connectivity, you know what I mean, with the Xbox that really had people kind of spooked, because if you didn't have internet, well, you couldn't really use the the new Xbox One. But of course they quickly backtracked on that. So let's play this actual audio clip and we'll go from there.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message. If you don't like it.
If you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device.
Yeah, guys. So what the fuck? Why would someone make a huge debacle like that? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't read up on it. I just remember when it happened. I was watching E3 back in 2013 when it happened. I think they fired that guy, but I don't remember. It doesn't really even matter. It was the stupidest shit ever. And right after that statement, it was when Xbox was taking a huge decline. They had too many things going on. Too many different rules and these regulations that was happening. Some of their games and their party titles just couldn't hold up to what was happening in the market with PlayStation coming out with some of their better titles in their games. Nintendo continued to innovate with their Wii U series, and then of course the 3DS was kind of holding them down for quite a bit. And then Xbox just kind of took a freaking nosedive, bro. And then the Xbox One launched. And it did okay, but it just slowly got to decline. It got to the point where literally they were damn near giving the console away. It's like you could barely even want to play the damn thing. You barely even want to fucking buy it. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. And then of course, I know it's going down to the sucky road, but let's give them a little bit of praise before we continue this downward slope. So then when we had the whole what do we call it, guys? What do we call that? What do we call it, guys? It was years down the line after the Xbox One. I remember Xbox Game Pass. Now, it was one of those shaky things that came about that we wasn't really sure about whether it was going to be worth it or not, if it's going to be one of those things that we're going to enjoy. But then they start offering all these services for a minimal amount of money a month. And we're kind of like, I don't know. They're going to take away physical copies. I don't really know how that's going to work. But it turned out to be Xbox's saving grace, because they start releasing their first party titles on Game Pass day one. You think about things like, what was it, Quantum Break, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of released on that title. The new Halo, they released on that title. All those first day one releases that were coming out. I think Gears 5 came out on there, and it just started to just get better and better, and they started getting more developers behind it and started releasing that stuff on Game Pass. And you could slowly see that Xbox was coming back into the folds, and it was building back momentum. And in turn, really no console maker or any platform really had an answer to it. It was one of the best deals in gaming. It almost made you feel as if you brought an Xbox, you had a ton of options for gaming there. And it kind of came back into its fold. Sales went up. Things got better. People started putting more trust in the Xbox again. And it was something that people just really wanted to start playing more and more. Xbox started to be something that people really, really liked. And then, of course, the downfall starts coming back in there. We're jumping quite a bit of years here, but we just want to keep this podcast not too long. So we're gonna go ahead and explain really where the rest of that downfall came about.
What's up, VWV listeners? Veronica here. Want to get more out of the show? Become a Flame Crew member and unlock exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. When you become a member, you'll get access to exclusive episodes, NSFW content, and much more. This includes special edition episodes, interactive call-in shows, and topics chosen by you, the Flame Crew. Best of all, get all this and support the show starting at only $5. It's easy. There's multiple ways to become a member. You can join via our podcast site, links are in the show notes, or by visit www.kofi.com/Venturus. That's www.kofi.com/Venturus to join today. Your support means the world to us, and it helps keep the Venting with Vent podcast going strong. Thank you.
All right, so guys, you know that Xbox started doing real well with Game Pass. They started giving a great value. I think it was at one point in time, maybe like $10 to $15 a month. I know for PC it was $10 a month, $15 a month for gamers. And that was pretty much Xbox's saving grace. Everything rolled on Game Pass. It was asking a bunch of developers to hop on board, put your game on Game Pass. We have it on here for so many months and give people tons of options. And it was better than anything else anyone else was offering. I mean, Nintendo was offering anything. They never really do. Well, I already talked about how bad they suck. PlayStation, they had their monthly games released, but you got them through PlayStation Plus, and you got a couple games for free for that month. But if you lost the subscription, you lost the games. Xbox gave you a plethora of services because not only did you need the Game Pass to stay online, but you also needed Game Pass to play all those games. So you never really were going to get rid of the service because you needed to play online anyway. So it was like a good tie-in together all around good service. And it was super great. And it was absolutely awesome. Right? So that went on for quite a while. And then, the Series X released. And, that came to a head. And that was super great. And then everybody felt like Xbox was still riding high. It felt competitive to the PlayStation. When the PlayStation 5 came out, everyone still was kind of like right at that neck and neck. Well, you're a PlayStation guy? You're an Xbox guy? What are you? What are you going to play? And it felt like it was back in the earlier 2000s again. It was like you had that actual, those different sides, those different people that wanted to play on one thing or another. As even though a lot of cross-platform things were coming out where people could play, and from whatever things coming out. The first things that come to my mind is like Fortnite and Call of Duty, and what else? Just a lot of other different titles that would be cross-platform that people would play, free-to-play titles and stuff like that. Start coming out. It started to not matter as much, but the first-party titles was still really, really good. I mean, PlayStation 5 started to come out, and their first-party titles with the Astrobot and some of the other titles really were not good. They just wasn't. It wasn't like it was in their previous console days. You used to have like the Uncharted and Horizon Zero Dawns and stuff like that from PlayStation, and that's not happening in the PlayStation 5 realm. Well, Xbox came out again with the new Halo 5. That was getting a ton of different developers. They brought, what was it, like 26 of them? I think they brought. They would buying a whole bunch of developers. They was bringing that into the folds and getting a lot of different developers involved and actually buying them out and making those particular titles. And one thing that comes to mind is Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade 2, that came out. They brought, who was it? Is it Team Ninja or guys, correct me you can correct me, but it's, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, they brought that out, and it's a whole bunch of other developers. They did really good in bringing that. But again, this is how badly they suck. They fucked that up too. They were sitting here doing a lot of those things, and while at the same time buying a lot of developers out, and just completely, tearing them down, firing and closing studios down and left and right, and it just was just a debacle, And because that was happening, what else do you think was happening? They were losing out on a lot of the games that people liked on Game Pass, which in turn caused Game Pass to lose its value. And of course, what did they do to kind of help save its grace? Well, as of recent, they brought out one of the great developers, aka Activision, which we all know has a stronghold in pretty much the rights to Call of Duty. So now you can get Call of Duty day one on Xbox, play it for free as long as you have Game Pass. Okay, that seems like it sounds good, but nope, they had to fuck that up too. Now Xbox Game Pass offer all that particular thing, but guess what? Now recently, they pretty much went up on their prices. It used to be affordable, cheap for their players. It used to be a great thing they could buy. They used to have those dedicated prices. What was it, like $15 a month for Ultimate, $10 a month for Game Pass PC. Now I think it's like as high as like $30 for the Ultimate a month. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like 30 freaking bucks? Who wants to pay that every month just to get on freaking Xbox and play their games? That's freaking crazy. and you're taking away games from the one thing that actually saved you from this complete debacle. You know, it was like Game Pass is your saving grace, and you just fucked it all up for everybody. Now people have questioned whether or not they really want to do this, because now you don't really own the games on Game Pass, and then they want to charge your arm and a leg, and then you start adding up the monthly. Let's say, for example, let's do some quick math, man. Let me have an inner mathematician come out here. You got $30 a month on the actual subscription service. You multiply that by 12. What do you get? $360. You get $360. No pun intended, okay? You get $360. Probably what you really want, but you get $360, right? So with $360 at games costing about, let's say even go with the $70 model now, right? With the $70 model at $360, that would net you about 5 brand new games a year. And I know some of us are diehard gamers that buy way more than that. But for the majority of us, we're lucky if you buy 2 or 3 brand new games, on day one release and pay that $70 fee. You know what I mean? That price tag. You would never spend the $360 on new games. So the games that we actually really do want to play, we will actually end up spending less than what the subscription costs. And people did the math and they said, I'm not paying that. This shit sucks, bro. And of course, that started to cause a decline in Xbox Game Pass sales and just ultimately doing Xbox all the way in. It made them completely horrible, man. Not to mention other things on the Xbox issues that come up. The price hikes of the Xbox Series X and S have gone crazy. And now, of course, we can blame the RAM apocalypse and all the device and components for the things for causing the price increase. But I don't think that's even the case, man. I think that Microsoft has enough stronghold in the PC world that they could probably get good pricing and be able to sell the actual console at a discount, or at a way that they can make it up on the Game Pass then. But selling it for like $700, damn near $800 for the console is ridiculous. I mean, no one can really afford that. I mean, at that end, you might as well save a couple $100 more bucks and get a gaming PC. That will be the route that people who are smart want to go. And it's like, at one point, you can get an Xbox Series S for like a couple $100, I swear. Like, you remember that time? It was down to like a couple $100 or something when it was really sucking before Xbox Game Pass really was taking off. They were selling it for peanuts. Now it's like tripling in price. It's just crazy, The day one exclusives are now being spread out between PC. Hell, PlayStation got Gears of War now. What's the point of buying Xbox? You got PlayStation with Gears of War now? No, you don't even have to have a damn Xbox anymore. They don't even have an identity. They don't really have a brand anymore. They're just pretty much like a storefront almost, for their own games and their own developers. They don't have that no more. Nobody wants to deal with that. It's like, it's a console. Is it even Xbox anymore? We don't even know. It's going down to the freaking wayside, man. It's like, why would you even continue to buy or support the Xbox Series X, S, or the ecosystem? Not to mention Windows. Microsoft has started to dedicate Windows into all their operating systems, and we see what Windows 11 did. Can you imagine what they would do with a UI in some of the newer Xbox and next generation Xbox that's going to have that Windows-based system? It's good. It's like you might as well just go ahead and grab a potato and just start putting some buttons on it and envisioning the game that you want to play. Let's get to my final thoughts here. This is just an absolute debauchery here, what they're doing with the Xbox, man. It's just absolutely horrible. It's so disappointing for everyone who were diehard Xbox fans, even people who wanted to have a console that had such value, had such great usability and things that you can be able to have and be able to have that console here and have a service of games that you didn't have to worry about. Because even if you didn't mind spending the $30 a month, or back when it was a lot cheaper, you would still get a lot of value from that. They still offered their first party titles that were really great. There was exclusive to Xbox to where you didn't have to go anywhere else. They still offered a lot of really good things to the actual system. Now they're getting rid of developers. The price hikes are going up when I get Xbox Game Pass. The prices are going up on the consoles. They're just horrible. I don't even think they even care about their consumer anymore. I think they don't care. I think they said, you want an Xbox? How about we sell you a dream? That's what we're going to have. And it brings me back to where I can't remember who will make statements about it, but I think they made a statement about how they wanted Xbox to be more of a cloud service type of gaming back in around those E3 times in the mid 2000s, which I think they're trying to make it a reality where you don't really have physical games. You don't really own any games digitally. Everything is here to be set like a streamer service. So Xbox is trying to be the new Spotify, which is trying to be the new YouTube, which is trying to be the new Netflix, which is trying to be all that. You stream your games, you own nothing, and they want you to like it and smile with a twinkle of green in your eye, which is actually probably tears because you really don't. Anyway, man, what do you guys happen to think about it? Am I wrong? Am I just falling off the cliff with this here? Am I way off track with this? What do you guys think, man? If you guys want to actually comment and let me know whether this episode was good, bad, or you had some comments there, make sure to hit me up on the socials, man. Those links are in the show notes. You can follow me on Twitter at Venturous the Gamer. So hit me a message about the actual episode and let me know what you guys think, man. Do you guys really think Xbox is really that bad? I don't know. Maybe you want to actually have a discussion about it. If you guys are content creators or you actually do podcasts or anything like that, and you actually want to actually be a guest on the show, you can definitely send me an email or hit me up on Twitter as well and let me know that, hey, I'm interested in your show. Maybe we can collab and do some guest work. I don't have guests on the show, and maybe you might be the first. Who knows? I'm definitely open for it. We're open to have a nice conversation of just about anything, but you got to be able to vent because that's what I do here. We vent right here, right? So guys, thank you guys for listening to this particular episode, and stay tuned for the next episode. I think it's going to be a very good one as well. So yeah, guys, always remember, you never have to worry about venting because Venturous has got you covered. Thank you guys for listening, and we will hopefully get you to hear the next episode. All right? Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Venting with Vent podcast. Please like, download, and share the podcast with others. If you'd like to be a future guest, contact Venturous via x.com or through email. Links are in the show notes.